Polling in the United States is well and truly underway. There's also a fear psychosis that seems to have gripped the country. Non-scalable fences are being erected at the White House and in front of stores in Manhattan and elsewhere. In front of some of the swankier stores in New York, they've put up huge boards, wooden planks for safety. An uneasy calm prevails in America before the results as the threat of a civil war looms. Gun sales have soared, so much so that there have been reports from gun stores in some cities that guns and ammunition are no longer available. At this moment, for every 100 American citizens, there are 120 guns across mainland United States. It almost seems, when you look at it from the outside, that America seems to be preparing for a kind of civil war. This is not going to be an ordinary peaceful election. That at least in the United States, there is apprehension that over the next several hours and days, the situation in the US could get violent and grim.
Arming and securing. Not just the ordinary Americans, non-scalable fencing is also built around the world's most powerful address. America is making a choice between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. The circumstances are unprecedented in American history. A country battling its worst public health crisis in a century. Inflamed passions over race and job losses. If all that wasn't enough, Trump has partly stoked concerns with his repeated claims that the presidential election could be rigged because of prolonged count of postal ballots.
I think it's a terrible thing when ballots can be collected after an election. I think it's a terrible thing when people or states are allowed to tabulate ballots for a long period of time after the election is over, because it can only lead to one thing, and that's very bad. You know what that thing is. I think it's a very dangerous, terrible thing. And I think it's terrible when we can't know the results of an election the night of the election in a modern-day age of computer.
As fears of post-election violence loom in the United States, gun sales have surged across America. The owner of this firearms store in the battleground state of Pennsylvania says his wares are flying off the shelf.
I'll tell you, the current environment as far as guns go, if you took everything that Obama did, everything that Clinton did, and all the school shootings, and combined them all, they would not equal what's going on right now in the firearms industry. That's how much greater this is this time.
America has more guns in the hands of civilians than it has civilians. About 120 guns per 100 people. According to official data, firearm sales are up by 80% in swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin this year.
A number of militias have come up through the country, and they promise to go around polling places to keep the peace. This is, according to Democrats, one way of intimidating their voters. According to Republicans, one way of protecting their rights.
With healthcare, employment, and peace at greater risk than ever from a potential unrest, Americans are boarding up their properties. That's how storefronts across the US are preparing for threats ranging from possible spontaneous attacks to planned violence.
Reports show that millions of guns have already been sold, and the fear is being driven on both sides. There are people who say that they are scared of people who have been protesting racial injustice, and then there are people who say they are scared of the right-wing militias which they have sometimes seen on the streets during protests. So this uncertainty is driving the gun sales and benefiting the gun rights and the powerful gun lobby of this country.
Trump's objections to mail-in voting has impacted his supporters. Remember, Americans have rushed to vote early. More than 95 million cast their ballots already before the election day. Tempers are running high.
We've been getting middle finger stuff thrown at us all for the past hour and a half that we've been here.
An unsettling sensation in the countdown to the election day. With Aviruk Sen in Texas and Pratiksha Gildial in Washington, Bureau Report, India Today.